At 63 years old, I learned something terrifying. You can survive loss. You can survive loneliness, but you never truly know who's watching you until it's almost too late. The life insurance barely covered my husband's funeral. 42 years of marriage ended quietly, with paperwork, and a house that felt too empty to breathe in. I lived in Medford, Oregon. In the same small house we'd shared for decades, I was a retired teacher, with a pension that looked fine on paper until grief showed me how thin numbers really are. So I did something I never imagined doing in my 60s. I went back to work. 3 nights a week, I worked the evening shift in the basement billing department at Riverside Medical Center. Quiet work. Numbers. Codes. My shift ended at 11:30 p.m. That's when the buses stopped running. Budget cuts. Suddenly, my only way home was a rideshare app my daughter installed on my phone. That's how Raymond entered my life. The first night his silver Toyota pulled up, I hesitated. Midnight, an empty hospital parking lot, a stranger behind the wheel. But his rating was perfect. 5 stars. So I got in. Long shift? He asked gently. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I replied. That became our routine. 3 nights a week. 12 minutes home. Quiet conversations. Until life cracked us both open. Raymond lost his job at the timber mill. His wife left. His daughter moved away. I lost my husband. My routine. My future as I knew it. We didn't complain. We just listened. I brought him coffee. He waited near the hospital, so he'd always get my ride request. Small kindnesses passed between us, until the night his voice changed. "Carol," he said, gripping the steering wheel too tight, "I need you to answer me honestly." Then he turned the wrong way, away from my street. He pulled into an empty parking lot and shut off the engine. "I picked up your neighbor last week," he said quietly. "The man with the red truck." My heart stopped. "He was drunk," Raymond continued. "And drunk people talk." Raymond had been a security guard once. Old habits never leave. "He said your exact address," Raymond said. "Said you see too much. Said you need to be handled before you go to the police." I couldn't breathe. "He tried your front door tonight," Raymond said, "while you were at work." Raymond didn't drive me home. He drove me straight to the police station. And that's when the truth unfolded. The man stalking me, the man trying to break into my house, worked at the same hospital as me. Night shift. Maintenance. Basement level. Record storage. Patient files had been disappearing for weeks. Elderly patients. Medicaid accounts. People who wouldn't notice. Fraud. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was part of the audit team. I didn't even know his face. But he knew my routine. The police arrested him before sunrise. Boxes of stolen records. Years of fraud. Audio recordings from Raymond's car became the evidence that saved my life. The man who watched me was already inside my workplace. He was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. And the only reason I'm alive is because a rideshare driver paid attention. Because someone finally treated him like a human being. Raymond saved my life, but here's the part no one expects. I saved his too. Months later, his daughter called him. She saw the news. She heard how he protected a stranger when once he failed to protect her. They reunited. Now, every Sunday, I sit at a table with Raymond, his daughter, and my honorary granddaughter. At 64 years old, I learned something powerful. Small kindnesses are not small. A cup of coffee, a conversation, seeing someone. Sometimes that's the difference between life and death.